What is up, everybody? Welcome back to GTA Online, and in this video I'm going to be taking a look at the Benefactor SM722, which is basically a Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren Stirling Moss, which honestly, I was kind of waiting for this vehicle to be added into the game because I do think this car is pretty awesome, and surely enough we do have it on GTA now, which I think is pretty cool. Now my vehicle is already customized. I try to get it similar to basically a real one in real life, and I do think I got it pretty close. But let's go take an outside look of the new Benefactor. Then I do want to take this thing on a nice little test drive around Los Santos to see how this vehicle might perform. Then we definitely have to take it on a top speed run, which what I've seen online so far, this vehicle does about 124 miles an hour, which is honestly pretty decent for any car in the Grand Theft Auto universe for that matter. And if you guys do want to check out the customization I have done to the Benefactor, I will have that timestamp toward the end of the video. So now taking an outside look at the Benefactor, I have to admit one thing. I think they did a great job with the design of most of the vehicles in this update so far. I cannot wait to see the other ones when they do release within the next 12 to 17,000 weeks. But nonetheless, I do love how this vehicle looks for the most part. Now let's open this thing up right now. So I would say Rockstar did a pretty dang good job with the detail of this vehicle. I mean, the interior looks so good in red, which is pretty awesome. Plus we're going to have the trunk back here, which obviously doesn't have much detail to it. Have the other view of the interior, which I think looks awesome in red. And then moving over to the engine of the Benefactor, I would say Rockstar did a good job with the detail of this as well. I do believe the top is going to be the secondary color. Then you see the detail of the engine block there. Then obviously under that's going to look like it belongs in GTA 4. But honestly, I think Rockstar did a good job with the engine on this vehicle for the most part. I mean, we can agree some of them do look pretty awful, but luckily the new Benefactor here does look really good. Now why don't we jump into this vehicle and take a listen to that engine sound. So I also wanted to show the first-person view of the Benefactor here because I do think this car looks really good. Now honestly, I really don't think there's much of anything else they could do to the interior of this vehicle. I mean, I do think it has some nice detail for the most part. I would also say you definitely want to wear a helmet when driving a car like this because it literally takes one bug and you're going to have a huge welt on your forehead, and then it's not going to be a fun time. Let's take a listen to that engine. So let's go take the new Benefactor on a little cruise around Los Santos here. Now one thing I did notice is obviously this car is going to be... Bro, what in the world was that? Then again, they do not use turn signals, and I really should be paying more attention to that. But as I was saying, guys, this vehicle is going to be rear-wheel drive, which I have noticed it might spin a lot when trying to take off or something like that. So if you're trying to do like one of the time trials, you might want to be a little careful on that launch, that way you do not slide all over the place. But besides that, I would say this car does look insanely awesome. I would probably drive it just for its looks alone, which honestly, a lot of the cars in GTA Online are probably going to be in that category. A lot of them really aren't the greatest when it comes to performance, but they do look really cool and or sound really good. I do like the engine sound of this vehicle. And I'd say this vehicle will probably be pretty fun to drive around the map and not get blown up by annoying players. Now, a few things I have been noticing when driving this car around the city a little bit is the fact that, well, it doesn't seem like it handles all that great, but I would also say it's probably because it is a sports car and, well, some of these vehicles don't have the best handling, but they're normally pretty quick for the most part, as I mentioned before. And I would say this car is going to be really fast in the city, probably hitting around 140 miles an hour because, you know, hitting a little bump in the road or hitting a curb on the street apparently makes your car go up like an extra 20 miles an hour, which I do find that to be really funny. But I also find this car to be pretty awesome to drive, and well, we now have a Stirling Moss in GTA Online, which I think a lot of players are happy to see. And you can also get this vehicle very close by to what it really does look like, similar to the LM87. I really do love that car as well. So having these vehicles in the collection, I think is going to be well worth it. Now, if you guys do want to buy this car, you're going to be looking at well over $2 million to actually get it. Plus, you'll have to dump like another 200 to 300K into it to really max it out and get the parts on it that you do like. But I would say this car is going to be worth it. Most of the vehicles in GTA seem to cost well over $2 million anyway, so you really can't, you know, get upset with that, I guess. But this car is pretty cool, and if you are a fan of Mercedes, you definitely have to pick this thing up. But let's teleport over to where the tunnel is. So I wanted to get a cleaner vehicle here for the top speed run here in a second, and well, a car ended up running right into it when it was parked on the street. Man, these pedestrians are very mean. But I do want to mention, I think this car is going to be a lot of fun to use on missions as well, because this car does have really good acceleration overall, plus a really decent top speed even compared to most of the cars in the game. The biggest drawback to this car, though, if you guys do plan to use it in a mission, is the fact that, well, you are super exposed, so you'll most likely get lit up really bad, and that's not going to be a fun time. But anyway guys, let's go take this car on its final stretch of road over here by this tunnel. Now as I did mention before, this vehicle is said to do about 124, which from the testing I have done on the other side of the highway to when I got to this location, I would say that's going to be pretty dang accurate. Now obviously going down a little hill or hitting a tiny bump in the road is going to boost the car's speed up a lot. When I was actually driving back that way to test something out, I managed to get this car above 135 again, just jumping over like a little hill on the road, which is kind of funny. So obviously if you guys were to use this car in the city, it will probably do over 140, which, you know, most of the vehicles do because of the handling flags. But honestly, I would definitely recommend taking a look at this Benefactor if you guys were thinking about it, because I do think this car is pretty awesome. It could be fun for missions and honestly just a new driving experience because it is pretty dang fast with its acceleration. But unfortunately, it's going to be over $2 million, which is kind of getting in a different area of vehicles that you could save up for more if you wanted to. Like going after the Countach looking car, or maybe going after the Vigilante, something crazy like that, because honestly, $2.1 million isn't far off from $3+ million anyway, so you could save up for something crazier. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about the Benefactor SM722 in the comments below. What are some of the things you like about this vehicle and or don't? I personally do think they did a good job with the look of this car. I'm also going to show you the customization right now of how I got this vehicle to look very close by to its real life counterpart. And now moving over to the customization on the Benefactor. So for me, I already have the armor on it, which would be 40%. I really don't see the point of putting 100% armor because, well, I'm never normally in public lobbies. I also have the brakes on the vehicle as well, but let's move over down to the bumpers now. So I kind of like how these do change the front of the car. They do look pretty awesome. Liking the carbon with the nice red line. I believe that's actually orange because of my secondary color that the vehicle came with, which I'll probably end up making that red. So I'm going to go with the carbon one there. Let's move down to the rear bumpers now. Kind of like that as well. I kind of like the colored splitter. I'm going to go with that one. Looks pretty cool. Sometimes these really do not fit the car all that well, but luckily some of these do look pretty nice on here. And then moving down to the last couple of diffusers, which surprisingly, a lot of these do not look that bad on the vehicle, but for me, I'm going to leave the carbon diffuser on this. Moving over to the engine now, maxing that out, and then we're going to have the exhaust here. And then moving down to the round exhaust here, so for me, I'm most likely going to go with the side exit because, well, the real Mercedes SLR does have the side exit exhaust in real life. And I also think that does look really cool coming out of the vents of the side of the vehicle there. So let's move down to the hoods. That one doesn't look too bad, but the rear one also has the two little vents on the bottom as well. So I'm going to try to keep my car as close to the rear one as possible. Even though some of these don't look all that bad, like I just personally don't think that one really fits the car that good. And then for the headlights, I did end up making these LED. Now, if you guys really wanted to as well, you could jump into the Arena Workshop and probably make these green or purple or something like that. But let's move down to the liveries now. So the black stripe looks pretty nice on there. Then we're going to have the red, which obviously you can't see, kind of a little bit, even though it's a different shade of red than my car. Then we're going to have the white on there, which looks okay. Not really digging that too much. At least it gives us a nice option of liveries on the vehicle, but personally, I'm not really a huge fan of how a lot of these look on there. And now moving over to the color of the car here. So for this, I decided to go with like a silver color on this because I wanted something a bit different, but I kind of want the red accent going around the car, so I think that would look pretty awesome. So let's do that now. Over to the secondary color here. Let's make this red. I'm going to go the pearlescent over here as well and make that black so it doesn't mess up any of the color of the vehicle. Then trim color we'll go with red as well. The outside view of this. I think that does look pretty awesome, having the red going around the car, plus the back there looks really cool. So here's the roof accessories, which personally, I'm not a huge fan of how these actually look on this vehicle. Now the main reason for that is I'm going for like a more of a stock build for the real SLR here, and well, having that on the back of the car, not really digging that all that much. And the funniest part is now that I look at the front bumper, I'm not really sure if I like all that carbon on there either. But let's move over to the splitters now, which will have that nice red accent going along the bottom. I do like that. Add that one to the car maybe. Then we're going to have that one with the front there, kind of liking that. There's a lot of carbon with these, but luckily the accent color does look really good, and sometimes the splitters just don't fit the car, but I do think for this one, it does look pretty dang good on this vehicle. And then moving down to the skirts now. Have the red one there. I don't really like how these look on the car for the most part, to be honest, but luckily they do not look awful. I'm just not really feeling it all that much on here. Then moving over to the spoilers now. The regular one there, then we're going to have the red. Don't really like how that one looks either. The red on the top. And now moving down to the next spoilers here, so at least we do have a lot of them to choose from with this car. I cannot actually believe there's going to be 22 different ones, and I have a feeling they're probably going to get bigger the more we go down the row here, which is going to probably look pretty funny on this vehicle. but at least it gives you a good option to actually put on the car, and you have different things you can really go for depending on the build you might actually be going after. So I'm not really feeling how that looks, but that really doesn't look all that bad on the car either. Let's move down to the suspension and max that out by the transmission and then the turbo. And then for the wheels, now I do have an idea that I do want to do with this car that I think the wheels will look really good on this. Now I just have to find them, which I do believe they're up here in the street category. There they are right there. Let's make those black. We're going to head over and do the tire enhancements. And then maybe for this I'll go with red. So I did end up changing the color of my rims to stone silver. I don't know what it is, but I kind of like the darkish gray color on there mixed with the color I have of the vehicle plus the red, which does look a lot more like the real Mercedes in real life. But that will pretty much do it for my vehicle, guys. Obviously, you cannot add any window tint because, well, there's no windows on the vehicle. But let me know what you guys think about the new Benefactor SM722 in the comments below. And luckily, this car does look insanely good. Plus, it has a decent top speed of almost 124 miles an hour. But thank you all so much for watching.